Tom Walker sat in the back row of the government surplus auction hall, watching the holographic displays cycle through lot after lot of damaged equipment. His datapad showed 3,000 credits in his account. It was not much, but it was all he had saved from 2 years of hauling cargo across the outer colonies. The auction hall was half empty. Most serious buyers had already left after the good lots sold in the first hour. Now only scavengers and desperate salvagers remained, hoping for overlooked treasures in the leftover junk. Lot 47, the auctioneer announced in a bored voice. Valerian transport vessel, Z-class configuration. Year 2847. Sold as is, no warranty, no inspection reports available. Tom looked up at the hologram. The ship rotating slowly on the display was old and battered. Dust covered its hull so thickly that the original paint color was impossible to determine. Several hull panels were missing entirely, exposing the framework beneath. The solar panels hung at odd angles, clearly damaged. But something caught Tom's attention. The fusion core housing looked intact. Even a damaged fusion core could be worth 10,000 credits if he could extract and refurbish it. Opening bid 2,000 credits, the auctioneer said. Tom's finger hovered over his datapad. It was a gamble. The ship might be completely worthless inside. But if that fusion core was functional, he could triple his money. 2,000, Tom called out. The auctioneer barely glanced in his direction. 2,000 from bidder 117. Do I hear 2,500? Silence filled the hall. No one else was interested. Going once. Going twice. Sold to bidder 117 for 2,000 credits. Tom transferred the money and received the access codes. Part of him felt excited. Another part wondered if he had just wasted his entire savings on a pile of scrap metal. 2 hours later, Tom stood in Hangar Bay 12 at the edge of the station's salvage district. His new ship looked even worse in person than it had in the hologram. The hull was covered in rust streaks and impact scars. Warning stickers and Valerian script peeled away from various panels. The landing gear looked barely stable. Tom approached the airlock and entered his new access code. For a moment nothing happened. Then the door hissed and groaned, sliding open with the sound of metal scraping against metal. Stale air rushed out, carrying the smell of dust and old recycled atmosphere. He stepped inside carefully. Emergency lighting flickered on automatically, casting everything in dim yellow light. The corridor was narrow and low. Valorians were smaller than humans on average, and their ships reflected that. Tom had to duck his head to avoid hitting the ceiling pipes. The interior showed years of neglect. Dust coated every surface. A few panels hung loose from the walls, exposing wiring beneath. But the basic structure seemed sound. Tom made his way forward, checking each room as he passed. The cockpit was cramped, but the controls looked intact. The crew quarters were empty except for a few abandoned personal items. The engine room would need serious work, but the fusion core was indeed still in place. That left the cargo bay. Tom moved aft, following the main corridor toward the rear of the ship. The cargo bay door was sealed, but his override codes worked. The door slid open with a pneumatic hiss. The bay was larger than Tom expected, taking up nearly a third of the ship's interior volume. It was mostly empty. A few storage containers were stacked against the far wall. Some old cargo netting hung from ceiling hooks. Tom pulled out his handheld scanner and swept the room, looking for anything valuable. The scanner showed nothing unusual. Just standard ship components and empty containers. Tom was about to leave when he heard something. A soft mechanical hum, barely audible, coming from behind the stacked containers. He froze. Ships did not make sounds like that when powered down. Especially not old ships that had been sitting in storage for who knew how long. Tom moved slowly toward the containers, his heart beating faster. He pulled a wrench from his tool belt. It was not much of a weapon, but it was better than nothing. Pirates sometimes used abandoned ships as hideouts. He might have just walked into someone's secret base. As he edged around the containers, his flashlight beam swept across something that should not be there. Tom stopped, his breath catching in his throat. A stasis pod. It sat in the corner, connected to the ship's power grid by cables that looked far newer than the ship itself. The pod was sleek and modern, completely out of place in this rusty cargo bay. Display panels on its side glowed softly, showing vital signs and system status. Tom leaned closer, directing his flashlight through the frosted viewport on the pod's surface. A face looked back at him through the ice. He jerked backward, nearly dropping his flashlight. His mind raced. There was someone inside. Someone alive. The face was humanoid but clearly alien. Pale blue skin. Large dark eyes, currently closed. Delicate features with high cheekbones and a narrow chin. Valerian, Tom realized. And female, based on the body structure visible through the frost. The pod suddenly started beeping. Warning lights flashed across its control panel in rapid sequence. Tom watched in growing alarm as the stasis field began to flicker. The temperature readings were climbing. The life support system was failing. No, 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 Tom muttered, frantically examining the controls. Everything was labeled in Valerian script. His translator chip could not keep up with the technical terminology. The pod's lid hissed. The seal broke with a loud crack. Freezing vapor poured out as the lid slowly opened. The woman inside gasped, her eyes flying open. They were large and dark purple, wide with confusion and fear. She tried to sit up but her muscles were not responding properly. Her whole body trembled violently. Her mouth moved, forming words that came out as weak, raspy sounds. She was speaking Valerian. "Easy," Tom said, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "I'm not going to hurt you." The woman's eyes fixed on him. Terror flooded her expression. She tried to pull away but could barely move. Her breathing came in rapid, shallow gasps. Tom quickly activated his translator chip, adjusting it to Valerian languages. "Can you understand me now?" The woman stopped struggling. She blinked several times, clearly trying to focus. When she spoke again, the translator rendered her words in choppy, broken English. "Who, you are? Where I am? My name is Tom. Tom Walker. I just bought this ship at auction. I didn't know anyone was on board. I swear I didn't know." Her expression shifted from terror to confusion to something that looked like crushing despair. She tried again to climb out of the pod. Her legs gave out immediately. Tom lunged forward and caught her before she hit the metal deck. She was surprisingly light, her body feeling fragile in his arms. "Whoa, take it easy," Tom said. "How long were you in that pod?" I not know." Her voice was barely a whisper. What year is this?" Tom hesitated. "It's 3047. Standard Galactic Calendar." The woman went completely still. She said something in Valerian that the translator could not parse, but Tom did not need a translation to understand shock. Her dark purple eyes filled with tears. 40 years, she whispered. 40 years I hide." She suddenly went limp in Tom's arms. Her eyes rolled back and she lost consciousness. Tom carefully lowered her to the deck, checking her pulse. It was there but weak and irregular. He looked around the empty cargo bay, then back at the unconscious alien woman. He had come here to salvage a fusion core. Instead he had found something far more complicated. Someone who had been hiding in this ship for 4 decades. Someone who was clearly running from something. Tom pulled out his comm device. He should call station security. Report the stowaway. Let the authorities handle it. That was the legal thing to do. The safe thing to do. But something stopped him. The terror in her eyes. The desperation in her voice. The fact that she had spent 40 years hiding in a stasis pod rather than face whatever she was running from. Tom put his comm device away. He lifted the woman carefully in his arms. She weighed almost nothing. He carried her toward the front of the ship, toward the crew quarters, already knowing he had just made a decision that would change everything. Tom returned to the ship 3 hours later carrying 2 bags of supplies. Medical kit, nutrition supplements, bottled water, and some basic food that his datapad said Valorians could digest. The station medical database had been surprisingly helpful once he figured out the right search terms. Lyra was awake when he entered the crew quarters. She sat on the bunk with her back pressed against the wall, watching the door with frightened eyes. When she saw Tom, she tensed like an animal ready to bolt. "It's okay," Tom said softly, setting the bags down slowly. "I brought food and medicine. You looked pretty rough earlier." Lyra watched him carefully. Her translator was working better now. "You not call authorities?" "No," Tom said. "I didn't call anyone." "Why?" Her voice was full of suspicion. Tom shrugged. "Because you were terrified. And I figured if you'd been hiding in a stasis pod for 40 years, you had a pretty good reason." Lyra stared at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, some of the tension left her shoulders. She looked at the bags of supplies. "I have no money. Cannot pay." "I'm not asking you to pay," Tom said. He pulled out a nutrition drink and held it out. "Here. The database said this should work for Valerian biology. Start with small amounts." She took the bottle hesitantly as if expecting it to be snatched away. She drank carefully, just small sips. Tom could see how thin she was. 40 years of cycling in and out of stasis, probably surviving on whatever scraps she could steal when the ship was in storage. Must have been horrible. What's your name? Tom asked. Lyra. She took another sip. Lyra Venn. Okay, Lyra. I need to understand what's going on. Why are you hiding in this ship? Lyra was quiet for a long time. She finished the drink slowly, then finally spoke. There was war. On Valoria Prime. Civil war. My family, we were on losing side. When was this? 43 years ago. I was navigation engineer on military vessels. When our faction lost, they marked us political criminals. My biometric data is in system. If authorities scam me, they see criminal status. Deportation. Prison. Maybe execution. Tom felt a chill. So you've been running ever since? This ship belonged to my family, Lyra continued. My father's transport business. When war came, we used it to escape. My parents died during evacuation. Ship was all I had left. I modified stasis pod connected to ship power. Then I hid. For 40 years? Ship went to salvage yard. I stayed hidden. When ship sold, I stayed hidden. It happened 6 times. Different owners, different places. I only wake up when ship moves to make sure pod stays connected to power. Then I sleep again. Her voice cracked. Safer to sleep. Safer than being awake and afraid. Tom sat down on the opposite bunk. The story was heartbreaking. A young woman, alone, spending decades frozen in sleep because the alternative was capture and death. You can't live like that, Lyra. I have no choice. There's always a choice, Tom said. We just need to figure out what it is. Over the next 2 days, Tom learned more about the ship while Lyra slowly regained her strength. She was hesitant to trust him, but hunger and exhaustion eventually overcame her caution. She ate the food he brought. She used the medical supplies. And gradually she started to talk more. The ship, Lyra explained, was not just a simple transport. Her father had been more than a businessman. He had connections with Valerian military research. When the Civil War started, he had installed classified modifications on his personal ship. What kind of modifications? Tom asked. Lyra led him to the engine room. She was still weak, but she moved through the ship with the confidence of someone who knew every centimeter. She stopped at what Tom had thought was just another power junction box. She entered a code on a hidden panel. The box slid aside, revealing controls beneath. Stealth plating, Lyra said. Military grade. Makes ship nearly invisible to most scanners. Tom's eyes widened. That's worth a fortune. And this? She moved to the engine core. Another hidden panel, another code. A secondary system hummed to life. Experimental jump drive. Prototype. Never went into production because war ended research program. What does it do? Standard jump drive moves ship through hyperspace over long distance, Lyra explained. This one does short jumps. Very short. Few thousand kilometers. But very fast. Almost instant. Good for combat. Good for escaping. Tom stared at the equipment. He had bought this ship for 2,000 credits. The technology hidden inside it was worth millions. Maybe tens of millions. Lyra, do you realize what you're sitting on? Yes, she said quietly. Is why I never sold ship. Never reported modifications. If authorities knew, they would take it. And they would find me. Tom ran his hand through his hair. This was getting more complicated by the hour. But an idea was forming in his mind. A crazy idea, but maybe the only one that made sense. What if you didn't have to hide anymore? He said. Lyra looked at him. Not possible. What if we registered you legally? Not as a refugee. As my crew. My contracted engineer. My biometrics. Can be altered, Tom said. I know someone. Guy named Carl who works in the station's registration office. He owes me a favor. Big favor. He can create documentation. New identity, work visa, the whole thing. It won't hold up under deep investigation, but for normal scans it'll work. Lyra shook her head. Too dangerous. If discovered. If discovered, I'll say I didn't know. That you tricked me. You can run again if you need to. But Lyra, you can't live in a stasis pod forever. You're already so weak you can barely stand. Eventually the pod will fail completely. Or the ship will end up somewhere you can't access power. And then what? She looked away. Tom could see her hands shaking. She was terrified, but she was also considering it. He pressed on. I need an engineer anyway. I was going to try to fix this ship myself and probably blow us both up. You actually know how it works. We could run cargo together. Legitimate work. You'd have income, freedom, a life. And I'd have a ship that's apparently worth a fortune and someone who knows how to fly it properly. You would do this? Lyra asked quietly. Take this risk for stranger? Tom thought about that. He barely knew this woman. Getting involved with forged documents and political refugees could ruin him. But he kept seeing that terror in her eyes when she first woke up. The desperation of someone who had been alone and afraid for 4 decades. Yeah, he said finally. I would. Lyra was silent for a long time. Then she straightened up, meeting his eyes. I'm very good engineer. I can make this ship run better than new. I can cut your fuel costs by 30%, increase speed by 15%. You will not regret this partnership. Tom smiled. Partners then? She hesitated, then nodded. Partners. 3 days later they ran their first test flight. Tom sat in the pilot's seat while Lyra operated the navigation and engineering stations. Carl had come through with the forged documents. According to the official records, Lyra Venn was now a registered contract worker with a valid employment visa. Okay, Tom said. Let's see what this old girl can do. Plot a course to the outer marker. Lyra's fingers moved across the controls with practiced ease. Course plotted. Engaging engines. The ship lifted smoothly from the hangar floor. Tom had expected rattles and shakes based on how the ship looked, but the flight was smooth as silk. They cleared the station and moved into open space. How's she handling? Tom asked. Better than expected, Lyra said. She was smiling slightly. The first real smile Tom had seen from her. Engines are old but well maintained. Systems are responding. Tom, try the throttle. Full speed. Tom pushed the throttle forward. The ship surged ahead with surprising power. The speed readout climbed rapidly. They were moving 30% faster than ships of this class normally managed. That's incredible, Tom said. That is nothing. Watch this. Lyra entered commands into her console. Activating stealth plating. The hull shimmered. On the scanner display, their ship's signature faded to almost nothing. We just became invisible, Tom breathed. And now, Lyra said, her smile growing, the jump drive. Hold steady. She activated the experimental drive. Space twisted around them. For a brief, dizzying moment, Tom felt like he was being pulled in every direction at once. Then everything snapped back to normal. They were 3,000 kilometers from where they had been a second ago. Holy! Tom checked their position. We just jumped instantly. Yes. Lyra looked genuinely happy now. This ship has more power than anyone knows. With proper maintenance and my knowledge, we can do things other cargo haulers only dream of. Tom looked at his new partner and his hidden treasure ship. He had come to that auction looking for a salvage opportunity. Instead he had found something better. A partnership. A purpose. And maybe, just maybe, a way to help someone who desperately needed it while building something good for both of them. Lyra, he said, I think this is going to work out just fine. She nodded, her expression serious but hopeful. Yes, I think maybe it will. 4 months passed quickly. Tom and Lyra fell into an easy rhythm running cargo between the outer colonies. Their ship, which Tom had named the Second Chance, proved to be everything Lyra had promised. Fast, efficient, and reliable. Word spread among cargo brokers that Tom Walker had a ship that could make deliveries ahead of schedule. Business was good. Lyra changed too. She gained weight, lost the haunted look in her eyes, and even started joking occasionally. She still flinched at unexpected sounds and checked the scanners obsessively for Valerian military signatures, but she was healing. Tom found himself looking forward to their time in the cockpit together, sharing stories about their lives while the stars streaked past. They were 3 days out from Station 12 when the distress signal came through. Tom, I'm picking up an emergency beacon, Lyra said, her fingers dancing across her console. Science vessel looks like a research ship. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Tom pulled up the signal. The message was fragmentary but clear enough. This is Research Vessel Horizon. Under attack by unknown hostiles. Requesting immediate assistance. Repeat, requesting immediate assistance. How far? Tom asked. 20 minutes at full speed. Tom hesitated. Getting involved in someone else's trouble was dangerous. But the desperation in that voice reminded him of Lyra when he first found her. Plot an intercept course. Full speed. Lyra looked surprised but nodded. Plotting now. The Second Chance leaped forward. As they approached the coordinates, their scanners showed 3 ships surrounding a smaller vessel. The research ship's shields were failing. Weapon impacts flashed across its hull. Pirates, Lyra said. They're trying to disable the ship, not destroy it. They want the cargo or the crew for ransom. Can we help? Tom asked. Lyra's expression hardened. Yes. But we need to use the weapon systems. We have weapons? Your father installed them, Lyra said to herself in Valerian, then switched back to English. My father installed them. I never told you because I hoped we would never need them. She entered a command sequence. Panels on the ship's hull slid open, revealing concealed weapon ports. Targeting displays activated on Tom's console. Holy! Tom stared at the controls. How do I use these? I will handle weapons, Lyra said. You fly. Get us close to the lead pirate ship. I will do the rest. Tom pushed the throttle forward. The second chance dove toward the battle. The pirate ships noticed them immediately. One broke off from the research vessel and turned toward them, weapons charging. They're targeting us, Tom said. Let them try, Lyra replied calmly. She activated the stealth plating. The second chance vanished from the pirate scanners. The pirate ship fired at where they had been. The shots went wide, hitting empty space. Tom brought them around in a tight arc, positioning them behind the confused pirate vessel. Now, Tom said. Lyra fired. Precision shots struck the pirate ship's engine pods. Explosions rippled across its stern. The ship went dark, drifting powerlessly. One down, Lyra said. 2 remaining. The other pirate ships realized the threat. They abandoned the research vessel and turned toward the second chance. But they couldn't get a lock. The stealth plating kept flickering the ship in and out of their sensors. Tom wove between their fire, bringing Lyra into position for shot after shot. Within minutes, both remaining pirate ships were disabled, their engines destroyed. They weren't dead, but they weren't going anywhere either. Research vessel, this is the cargo ship's second chance, Tom broadcast. The hostiles are neutralized. Do you need assistance? A grateful voice responded immediately. Second chance, this is Dr. Alan Chin of the Horizon. We have injuries but nothing critical. Thank you. You saved our lives. Tom brought the second chance alongside the research vessel. A docking tube extended between the ships. Dr. Chin came aboard with 2 of his crew members. He was a human in his 50s with gray hair and sharp, intelligent eyes. I cannot thank you enough, Dr. Chin said, shaking Tom's hand. Those pirates would have either killed us or held us for ransom. How did you drive them off so quickly? We got lucky, Tom said. Right place, right time. Dr. Chen's eyes moved past Tom to where Lyra stood. His expression changed. Recognition flashed across his face. Then his gaze shifted to the ship's interior, taking in the Valerian design. His eyes widened. This ship, Dr. Chin said slowly. This is a Valerian Z-class transport. But the configuration, the hull markings. He moved closer to one of the wall panels, examining the faded symbols. This is impossible. What's impossible? Tom asked, though he felt a growing sense of unease. Dr. Chin turned to face them. I'm a xenoarchaeologist. I specialize in Valerian history and military technology. I've spent 20 years researching the Ghost Fleet. Ghost Fleet? Tom repeated. A group of 7 Valerian military research vessels that vanished during the Civil War 43 years ago. They were carrying classified technology and data. The Valerian government claimed they were destroyed, but there were always rumors they had defected. Dr. Chin pointed at the wall panel. That symbol. That's the marking of the Ghost Fleet. This ship was one of them. Lyra had gone very pale. Tom looked at her, understanding dawning. Lyra? She swallowed hard. It is true. My father was part of research division. When war turned against us, 7 ships fled together. They had secrets the winning side wanted. Most ships were caught and destroyed. Only few escaped. This was one. What secrets? Dr. Chin asked, leaning forward with academic excitement. Lyra looked at Tom. He could see the fear returning to her eyes. She had been safe for 4 months. Now her past was catching up. Star charts, she said quietly. Coordinates to precursor sites. Ancient locations where the precursors left technology. My father's team had found dozens of sites. All classified. All extremely valuable. Tom felt his stomach drop. The precursors were the ancient alien civilization that had disappeared millions of years ago. Their technology was far beyond anything current species could create. A single precursor artifact could be worth billions. Knowledge of multiple sites could shift the entire balance of galactic power. The data is still on this ship? Dr. Chin asked. In encrypted storage, Lyra confirmed. I could never access it. I do not have the codes. Only my father knew them and he died during the escape. Dr. Chin opened his mouth to say more, but Lyra's console suddenly erupted in urgent beeping. She rushed to it, her face going white as she read the display. Tom. We need to leave. Now. What is it? Valerian military ship. Underclass. They just entered the system. And they are heading directly toward us. Tom's blood went cold. How did they find us? The weapons, Lyra said, her voice shaking. When I activated them, they connected to the ship's main systems. The encrypted storage must have sent out an automatic distress signal. Old military protocol. I did not know it was still active. On the scanner, a new contact appeared. It was moving fast, much faster than any civilian ship. Its signature was unmistakable. Valerian military. Hunter-class ships were designed for one purpose: tracking down and capturing fugitives. Dr. Chin, you need to get back to your ship, Tom said urgently. Right now. But. Now. Tom practically pushed the scientist toward the airlock. Get your people and jump to the nearest station. Don't get involved in this. Dr. Chin looked between Tom and Lyra, understanding the danger. He nodded and ran back through the docking tube with his crew. The tube detached. Tom jumped into the pilot's seat. How long until they reach us? 8 minutes, Lyra said. Her hands were shaking as she worked the controls. Tom, I am sorry. I brought this on you. I should have told you about the weapons, about the encrypted data. Later, Tom interrupted. Right now we need to run. Can we outrun them? No. Hunter-class ships are faster. And they have long-range weapons. They will disable us before we can reach jump distance. Then we fight. We cannot win. They have military shields and weapons far superior to ours. Tom gripped the controls. 4 months. They'd had 4 good months. And now it was ending. He looked at Lyra, saw the despair on her face. She was going to be captured. Sent back to Valoria. Prison or execution. No, Tom said firmly. I didn't pull you out of that stasis pod just to lose you now. We're not giving up. Tom, there is no way. You said this ship has a jump drive. The experimental one. Short-range jumps. Yes, but. And stealth plating. Can we jump while stealthed? Lyra's eyes widened. Theoretically, yes. But it has never been tested. The power requirements. Can the ship handle it? She hesitated, then nodded slowly. Maybe. If we route all auxiliary power to the jump drive and stealth systems simultaneously. But we would be jumping blind. No time to calculate a safe destination. We could appear inside an asteroid or a planet. Tom checked the scanner. The hunter ship was 6 minutes away. Better than capture. Do it. Lyra's fingers flew across her console. Rerouting power now. Activating stealth plating. Charging jump drive. Tom, this is insane. Yeah, Tom agreed, watching the hunter ship close in. But we're good at insane. The stealth plating activated. Their signature vanished from scanners. The jump drive hummed, building power. On the display, Tom could see the hunter ship slow down, confused by their disappearance. They're scanning for us, Lyra said. They know we are here somewhere. Jump drive at 90%. 95. The hunter ship fired. Random shots trying to hit them blind. One blast passed close enough to rock the second chance. 100%, Lyra said. Jump ready. Tom, pick a direction. Tom pointed at a random point on the star map. There. We could die. Or we could live. Jump. Lyra hit the activation button. Space twisted. The universe folded. And the second chance vanished, leaving the hunter ship alone with empty space and unanswered questions. The jump ended violently. The second chance materialized in the middle of an asteroid field, alarms screaming. Tom grabbed the controls and threw the ship into a hard turn. A massive rock tumbled past where they had been a second earlier. Where are we? Tom shouted over the alarms. Lyra checked her displays. Caldan sector. Deep space. The asteroid field is very dense. Another rock slammed into their shields. Very, very dense. Can they follow us? Yes. The jump drive leaves a signature. They can track it. We have maybe 10 minutes before they calculate our position. Tom wove between the asteroids, his heart pounding. The rocks were everywhere, tumbling in chaotic patterns. One wrong move would smash them to pieces. We need a plan, Lyra. I know. She was working frantically at her console. Tom, I have been thinking. The star charts. The precursor sites. If the Valerian military gets them, they will use the technology for weapons. More war. More death. And if we keep running, they'll never stop chasing us, Tom added. Yes. But there is third option. One my father would have wanted. What option? Before Lyra could answer, the scanner showed a new contact. The hunter ship had found them. It emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the asteroid field, weapons already charging. "Here we go again," Tom muttered. He pushed the ship deeper into the asteroid field. The hunter ship followed, but it was larger and less maneuverable. It had to slow down to avoid the rocks. "They are hailing us," Lyra said. "Put them through." A stern Valerian voice filled the cockpit. "Unidentified vessel, this is Captain Vex of the Valerian Defense Force. You are harboring a political criminal and possess stolen military property. Surrender immediately or we will open fire." Tom grabbed the comm. "This is Captain Tom Walker of the Second Chance. The person on my ship is my registered crew member with valid documentation. And this ship belongs to me. I bought it legally." "Your documentation is forged," Captain Vex replied. "We know Lyra Ven is aboard. We know the ship contains classified data. There is no escape. Surrender now and you will be treated as a victim of deception rather than an accomplice." Tom looked at Lyra. She shook her head firmly. "Do not give up," she said quietly. "Please." "Sorry, Captain," Tom said into the comm, "we're going to have to decline your generous offer." He cut the transmission and threw the ship into a sharp dive. The hunter ship fired. Energy blasts tore through the asteroid field, vaporizing rocks into glowing debris. "They're not messing around," Tom said. "They want ship intact if possible, but they will destroy us if necessary," Lyra said. She activated the stealth plating. "Try to lose them in the debris." For the next 10 minutes, Tom flew like he had never flown before. He used every trick he knew, every bit of the Second Chance's superior maneuverability. The stealth plating flickered on and off, confusing the hunter ship's targeting. The experimental jump drive let them make short hops, appearing hundreds of kilometers away in an instant. But the hunter ship was persistent, and it was calling for backup. "Tom, 3 more ships just entered the system," Lyra said. 2 more Valerian hunters and, oh no. What? Human military cruiser. Earth Defense Force. Why are humans here? Dr. Chin must have reported what we have. Now Earth wants the precursor data too. Tom cursed. They were trapped between 2 military forces, both willing to fight for the star charts. The human cruiser broadcast on all frequencies. "This is Captain Sarah Brooks of the EDF Valiant. We have reports of classified precursor site data aboard your vessel. As this discovery occurred in human-protected space, we are claiming jurisdiction. Prepare to be boarded for inspection." "They are lying," Lyra said. "Dr. Chen's ship was not in human space. They just want the data." The Valerian ships and the human cruiser were converging on their position, maneuvering around each other warily. Neither side wanted to start an interstellar incident, but neither was willing to back down. Tom sat back in his seat, mind racing. They were surrounded. No way to outrun everyone. No way to fight. In minutes, either the Valorians would capture them or the humans would. Either way, powerful people would control knowledge that could reshape the galaxy. "Lyra," Tom said slowly, "you said there was a third option. What did you mean?" She met his eyes. "My father believed knowledge should be free. That discovery should belong to everyone, not just governments or military. He wanted to publish the precursor data openly, but the war started before he could. You can access the data now?" When the distress signal activated, it also unlocked some of the security. "I have partial access. Not everything but enough. The coordinates to 12 precursor sites." Tom looked at the scanner. Both fleets were less than 5 minutes away. An idea formed in his mind. A crazy, probably stupid idea. But it felt right. It felt human. "What if we gave the data to everyone?" Tom said. "Not to the Valorians. Not to Earth. To everyone. Every species, every government, every scientist. All at once." Lyra's eyes widened. "Broadcast it publicly? On every frequency. Make it impossible for anyone to control. If everyone has it, no one can use it for war because everyone else would have the same advantage. They will be furious. Both fleets. We will be criminals in both Valerian and human space. We're already criminals in Valerian space. And I'm guessing Earth won't be happy with us either way." Tom smiled grimly. "At least this way we do something good. Something your father would have wanted." Lyra stared at him for a long moment. Then she smiled. It was a real smile, bright and genuine. "You are insane, Tom Walker. I've been told that before." "I like it." Her fingers moved across the console. "I am accessing the data now. Preparing it for broadcast. This will take 2 minutes." The comm crackled. Captain Vex's voice was harsh. Final warning. Surrender now or we open fire. Tom ignored him. He activated their own comm, broadcasting on all frequencies. Attention all ships. This is Tom Walker of the Second Chance. We have information about precursor sites. Coordinates to ancient technology. We know you all want this data. We know you're willing to fight for it. Tom, what are you doing? Captain Brooks demanded. So we're going to make it simple, Tom continued. No fighting necessary. We're giving it to you. All of you. And everyone else. Do not, Captain Vex started. Broadcast ready, Lyra said. On your command. Tom took a deep breath. This would change everything. They would be hunted by multiple governments. But they would also be heroes to scientists, explorers, and regular people across the galaxy. And most importantly, they would prevent the precursor knowledge from starting another war. Do it, Tom said. Lyra hit the button. Data streamed out from the Second Chance on every frequency. Civilian channels, military bands, public networks, private channels. The coordinates to 12 precursor sites. Detailed scan data. Everything the research team had discovered 43 years ago. Within seconds, the data was everywhere. Ships received it. Stations recorded it. News networks picked it up. There was no stopping it now. No way to put it back in the box. The comm exploded with voices. Angry military commanders. Shocked news reporters. Excited scientists. The data was spreading across the galaxy at the speed of light. You fools. Captain Vex shouted. Do you understand what you have done? Yeah, Tom said. We just made sure no one can start a war over this. You're welcome. Both fleets are powering weapons, Lyra warned. I think they want to destroy us out of spite. Shields up, Tom ordered. Charge the jump drive. If we're going down fighting. But before either fleet could fire, something unexpected happened. The public channels erupted. Citizens across dozens of worlds were broadcasting their support. Thanking them. Praising them for making the knowledge public. The pressure on the military commanders was immediate and intense. This is Station Commander Grant of New Haven, a voice cut through the military channels. I'm ordering all Earth forces to stand down. The data is already public. There's no point in starting an interstellar incident now. Let them go. There was a long pause. Then Captain Brooks spoke, her voice tight with frustration. EDF Valiant standing down. But this isn't over. The Valerian ships held their position longer. Finally, Captain Vex spoke. You have made powerful enemies today. Both of you. There will be consequences. We'll deal with those when they come, Tom replied. One by one the military ships withdrew. They couldn't attack without causing a massive public relations disaster. Not when Tom and Lyra had just become heroes to billions of civilians. As the last ship jumped away, Tom slumped in his seat. I can't believe that worked. We are outlaws now, Lyra said. We cannot return to Valerian space. We will have difficulties in human space also. Yeah. But we're alive. We're free. And we did the right thing. Lyra reached over and squeezed his hand. Yes, we did. She paused. Tom, I must tell you something. In Valerian culture, when two people face death together and survive, they form a bond. A permanent partnership. You have saved my life 3 times now. We are connected. Always. Tom squeezed her hand back. Partners. Always. Where do we go now? Lyra asked. Tom looked at the star map, at the vast galaxy spread before them. They had no home port anymore. No safe harbor. But they had each other, and they had a ship that could go anywhere. Anywhere we want, Tom said. The whole galaxy just became a lot more interesting. Precursor sites are being explored. New discoveries happening every day. Sounds like there's going to be a lot of work for a good cargo ship with a brilliant engineer. Lyra smiled. And a brave captain who makes insane decisions. That too, Tom agreed. He plotted a course to the outer systems, away from military patrols. Let's go see what's out there. The Second Chance jumped, leaving the asteroid field behind, heading toward an uncertain but free future. The diplomatic fallout lasted 3 weeks. Tom and Lyra stayed hidden in the outer colonies while governments argued and lawyers drafted documents. The Valerian government officially condemned them as criminals. The Earth Defense Force issued warrants for questioning. But public opinion was overwhelmingly on their side. Scientists celebrated the free access to precursor data. Explorers rushed to the newly revealed sites. Regular citizens praised them for preventing governments from hoarding powerful technology. Tom and Lyra had become famous across the galaxy, though not in the way either of them had expected. Finally, A human diplomat named Ambassador Kate Wilson reached out through back channels. She arranged a meeting on a neutral station far from military jurisdiction. Tom and Lyra sat across from her in a small conference room. Ambassador Wilson was a sharp woman in her 60s with gray hair and calculating eyes. She slid a data pad across the table. "The official position is that you're both in serious trouble," she said. "Unofficially, half the government thinks you're heroes and the other half is too embarrassed to admit you outsmarted them." "What does that mean for us?" Tom asked. "It means I can offer you a deal. Lyra, you get full asylum in human space. Legal residency, work authorization, the whole package. Tom, you keep your ship with no questions asked about its modifications or history." She paused. "In exchange, you both agree to never reveal any additional classified information and you register as independent contractors available for consultation if needed." "Consultation about what?" Lyra asked suspiciously. "Precursor sites, Valerian technology, whatever expertise you might have. Nothing mandatory, just an option if we need it. Mostly this is about saving face. We look like we're keeping tabs on you and you get to live freely." Tom and Lyra exchanged glances. It was better than they had hoped. "One more thing," Tom said. "We want it in writing that no one can confiscate our ship or force us to work. We're independent. We choose our own jobs." Ambassador Wilson smiled slightly. "Already in the contract. Sign here." They signed. Just like that, they had a future again. 6 months passed quickly. Tom and Lyra used their newfound fame to build a real business. They upgraded the Second Chance with newer communications equipment, better living quarters, and reinforced cargo holds. The military modifications stayed hidden, but everything else was improved and modernized. They hired a small crew. First came Kevin, a young human pilot who was eager to learn and didn't ask too many questions. Then Maya, a Centauri engineer who specialized in precursor technology and wanted to be part of the exploration rush. Finally, there was Rook, a Kelvin navigator whose 4 arms made him incredibly efficient at managing multiple systems simultaneously. The crew was small but skilled. More importantly, they were loyal. They knew Tom and Lyra's story and they respected it. Business was excellent. Everyone wanted to hire the famous ship that had broadcast the precursor data. They ran supplies to research teams, transported scientists to dig sites, and occasionally took on special deliveries for people who valued discretion. The money was good. Better than good. But more than the money, Tom and Lyra were happy. They had built something together. The Second Chance was no longer just a hiding place or a salvage opportunity. It was a home. On the morning they were scheduled to depart for their first official precursor site visit, Tom found Lyra on the bridge. She was alone, standing by the main viewport, watching station traffic move past. She had changed in the past months. She stood straighter now, smiled more. The fear that had haunted her eyes was mostly gone. "Nervous?" Tom asked, coming to stand beside her. "A little," Lyra admitted. "This site, it was one my father's team discovered. I will be seeing his work for the first time. He would be proud of you. Of what you did with the data." "I hope so." She turned to face him. "Tom, I need to tell you something. In our culture we have a concept. Difficult to translate. The closest human words would be life partner. Someone connected to you by choice and shared experience, not by family or romance. Someone who becomes part of your soul." Tom felt his heart beat faster. "Okay. The phrase is Kethel Nara. It means companion of the stars. It describes 2 people who travel together, face danger together, and trust each other completely. It is the highest bond in Valerian culture." "That's beautiful," Tom said. "You are my Kethel Nara," Lyra said softly. "When you found me in that cargo bay, I was broken. Ready to give up. You could have turned me in. You could have taken the safe path. But you chose kindness. You chose to help. That is very human trait. Taking risks to help someone who cannot help themselves." "Lyra, please let me finish." She smiled, her dark purple eyes shining. "You taught me that hiding is not living. That running forever is just slow death. You showed me there is another way. A way where we stand together and face problems instead of hiding from them. I was alone for 40 years. Now I have partner, crew, purpose. I have life again. Because you chose to be kind." Tom felt his throat tighten. "You gave me something too. I was just a salvager scraping by, no real future. You and this ship, you gave me purpose too. We built this together." "Yes, together." Lyra reached into her pocket and pulled out 2 small medallions on chains. They were Valerian design, etched with symbols Tom didn't recognize. "These belong to my parents. They were Kethel Nara. I want you to have one." She placed one medallion around Tom's neck. She kept the other for herself. "Now it is official," she said. "We are companions of the stars. Partners in all things. Equals." Tom looked down at the medallion, feeling the weight of it. Not just the physical weight, but what it represented. Trust. Commitment. Family, but not in the traditional sense. Something deeper and more chosen. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For trusting me. For staying." "Thank you for finding me," Lyra replied. "For seeing person not problem. For choosing hard right thing instead of easy wrong thing." The bridge door opened. Kevin poked his head in. "Sorry to interrupt, but the crew is ready. Station control is giving us clearance in 10 minutes. "We will be right there," Lyra said. Kevin left. Tom and Lyra stood together for a moment longer, looking out at the stars. "Strange how life works," Tom said. "I went to that auction looking for spare parts. Maybe make a few thousand credits. Instead I found you in all of this." "Fate," Lyra said. "Or maybe just luck. But I think maybe fate. The universe has pattern. Brings people together who need each other." "Do you believe that? That things happen for a reason?" Lyra considered the question. "I believe we were meant to find each other. What we did with that meeting, that was our choice. We chose partnership. We chose to help people. We chose to do right thing even when it was dangerous. Those choices made us who we are now." Tom nodded. She was right. It wasn't just luck or fate. It was the decisions they had made together. To trust when trust was risky. To fight when fighting seemed hopeless. To share knowledge when hoarding it would have been easier. "Ready to see your father's discovery?" Tom asked. "Yes. But Tom, one more thing. I have been thinking about the future. About what we do next." "What do you mean?" "We have good business now. Safe. Profitable. But there are still people like me. Refugees, people running from persecution, people hiding in shadows. Maybe we could help them too." Tom smiled. Of course she would think of that. She had spent 40 years hiding, and now that she was free, she wanted to help others find freedom too. "You want to add rescue work to our services?" "Not official. Not advertised. But maybe sometimes when we hear about someone who needs help, someone no one else will help, maybe we could be the ones who show up." "That's dangerous," Tom pointed out. "Could get us in trouble with multiple governments." "Yes. Very dangerous." Lyra smiled. "But is right thing to do. And you are very good at dangerous right things." Tom laughed. "Okay. We'll do it. Quietly. Carefully. But we'll do it. Thank you, Kethelnara. Thank you, companion of the stars." They walked to their stations on the bridge. The crew was ready. The coordinates were plotted. The second chance was prepared for departure. As they left the station and accelerated toward the precursor site, Tom looked around the bridge. At Lyra working her console with practiced ease. At Kevin handling the controls confidently. At Maya and Rook coordinating their systems. This was his crew. His ship. His life. He thought back to that day at the auction. Standing in that dusty cargo bay, finding a frightened woman in a failing stasis pod. At the time it had seemed like a problem. A complication. Something that would ruin his simple salvage operation. Instead, it had been the beginning of everything good in his life. Sometimes the best things came from unexpected places. From choosing kindness over convenience. From taking a risk on someone who needed help. From being willing to stand up and fight when fighting was the only right answer. The second chance jumped to hyperspace, carrying its crew toward ancient mysteries and new adventures. Behind them was a trail of choices that had changed their lives. Ahead was an unlimited future full of possibilities. And through it all, two people who had found each other by chance and chosen to stay together by choice. Two companions of the stars, bound by trust, courage, and the simple human instinct to help those in need. It was, Tom reflected, a pretty good way to live. The galaxy stretched endlessly before them, full of wonders to explore and people to help. And they would face it all together as they always had. As Kethelnara. As partners. As companions of the stars.